Hey Jace, welcome back. Let's take a moment to review the lesson that we worked on the last time I saw you. We worked on two different rudiments. We reviewed the pataflafa rudiment, and we also learned a new one called Lesson 25. So let's review the pataflafa rudiment. Now remember, the pataflafa is a single stroke 4, so it's basically 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 notes, but you put a flam on the first one and a flam on the last one. So I'll do a right-handed flam, right, left-handed flam. Right-handed flam, left, right, left-handed flam. You can also reverse that. You can do a left-handed flam, right, left, right-handed flam. So that is the pataflafa. You can reverse it, left-handed first, and then you can also do a right-handed lead. So I want you to practice at home paying close attention to your lead hand, the hand that is hitting the drum first. Now that's going to be the very quiet note in your flam. And practice keeping that stick low. Okay? Keep that stick low and make sure the accented notes are truly accented. Alright Jace, let's jump into lesson 25. This was the new rudiment that we worked on in our lesson this past Monday. So on this one, again, it doesn't have a fancy name, so we just call it lesson 25. But on this one, we are going to be doing basically 3 notes, but we're going to put a drag at the beginning. So using some of the mnemonic devices that we had talked about, we're using 3 notes out of 4 16th notes. So instead of watermelon or 1 E and we can do 1 E and, 1 E and, 1 E and, 1 E and, or waterman, 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 waterman. Those are some of those mnemonic devices that we use to help remember how we're supposed to be playing those notes. So we're going to be playing 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and, 4 E and, but we're going to put a drag at the beginning. 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and, 4 E and, 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and, 4 E and. So we're going to do a diddle or a drag. So you do the diddle, and then you do count 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So that would be a good thing to practice first. Just the drag, tap. Actually, it's just a drag note with the downbeat. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And then, when that feels comfortable, 1 E and, 1 E and, 1 E and, 1 E and. So do your drag, 1 E and. You'll notice, Jace, that I'd use my left hand first to do the drag. Let's flip that around now and do the drag with our right hand. 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and, 4 E and, 1 E and, 2 E and. And then when that feels comfortable, you can do an alternating sequence. Alternate back and forth. So that is lesson 25. Now let's get into our groove. What we were working on in our last lesson was our 16th note pattern. We were working on 16th notes on the hi-hat, making sure that when we hit the snare drum, we are using the opposite hand of what we would typically use in an 8th note beat. So for example, if I'm starting left hand on the hi-hat, I'm going to count it 1 E and Count 2 will be on my snare drum, but I will need to use my left hand. I started on the hi-hat with my left hand, snare drum beat's going to be with the left hand. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 4 E and If you start with the right hand lead, the right hand is going to be the one to hit the snare. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So remember, whatever hand you're leading with, that will be the hand that's going to play on the snare drum. That's different than our eighth note beat, where we typically are playing an eighth note groove with one hand, and our opposite hand is the one hitting the snare. So it's a little bit different, and it takes a little bit of practice to get used to hitting the snare drum with a different hand. Just remember, whatever hand leads is the same hand that will be hitting the snare. Okay? So we're going to count this as 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, or watermelon, 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 watermelon. You can use whatever memory clue works best for you. So let's get to that. Let's just do a quick round leading with both hands, and I want to show you what that beat looks like. So here's a left hand lead. 1, 2, ready, go. And 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 4 E and a, 1. That was a left hand lead with a left hand snare. Let's do a right hand lead with a right hand snare. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 and a, 4 E and a, 1, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 4 E and a, 1. So there's a right hand and a left hand lead. Now we took it one step further, and we talked about ghosting. I thought it'd be pretty appropriate that we talk about ghost notes right before Halloween. So we're going to be taking one of our hands, and the hand that is not your lead hand. So if I'm leading with my left, my right hand is going to be ghosting or playing very quiet notes on the snare drum, while my left hand continues with the normal pattern of playing 16th notes. So essentially we're playing 16th notes like this, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, but we're doing it between two different voices. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So the ghost note is a very quiet note. You can see I'm barely tapping my drum when we do that. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. If I do it with the right hand lead, my left hand will be ghosting. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a. Alright Jace, let's add some flavor to this beat. Let's change the bass drum pattern and let's speed up the tempo a little bit. Here we go. 1, 2, ready. So just by adding ghost notes and a few occasional extra hits with my left hand, I can add a lot of flavor to a seemingly boring eighth note beat. You take this and change it to this. So ghosting is a nice way to add interest and depth and a little bit of flavor to the beats that we've already learned. Well, that's it for this installment of your weekly review. I hope you have a fun time practicing this week and changing those eighth note beats into a funky ghosting groove. 1, 2, 3.